All right. What the heck? We're back again. We were just here a few minutes ago, it seems like. I just got something about a report that Russian fighter jets are in the air in Venezuela, but I know there's some older reports of that coming out too. So I'm not sure. I'm just not sure. Um, Trump did an interview on looks like Fox News this morning. He's going to be live on a press conference in a couple minutes here. What's up, Jericho? He's going to be live on a press conference here in a few minutes. We will take it to that. Let's see here. We'll take you to that. Kind of wanted to touch base on a couple things. Looks like. Hang on here. Maduro. So, the former president of Venezuela was captured on January 3rd, 2026, during a large-scale U.S. military strike on Venezuela, ordered by Donald Trump. The operation involved low explosions and low-flying aircraft in Caracas, leading to Maduro and his wife being detained and flown out of the country. This action followed years of U.S. pursuit, including a $50 million bounty on Maduro, stemming from his 2020 indictments under Biden. In U.S. federal court for running a narco-terrorism scheme involving cocaine shipments. The capture was framed as part of a broader U.S. effort to address Moderno's illegal or alleged drug trafficking corruption. Go ahead. What's happening here? There we go. There we go. The action followed years of U.S. pursuit, including a $50 million bounty on Maduro stemming from his 2020 indictment. A U.S. federal court for running a narco-terrorism scheme involving cocaine shipments. The capture was framed as part of broader U.S. efforts to address Maduro's alleged drug trafficking, corruption, and support for terrorism amid escalating tensions over Venezuela's political and economic crisis. So it looks like the charges were narco terrorism, cocaine importation, conspiracy, possession of machine guns and destructive devices, conspiracy to possess machine guns and destructive devices, corruption and other drug trafficking offenses involving 14 current and former Venezuelan officials. So we're going to see what happens with all that. I'm curious about this press conference. It's going to be pretty interesting. An indictment on Maduro isn't a justification to attack a sovereign nation. Yeah, so you're not going to find a Trump fanboy here. I'm still undecided. I don't really like it. I don't like those butt Bidens or butt this or butt that either. That's just a different, a sleazy way to make it what you're doing seem valid. Where'd my thing go? There we go. So I'll get this set up so I don't miss it. There we go. Here's I'll just bring it up. I'll just bring it up onto the screen. How's that? That makes it easier. All right. So Attorney General Pam Bondi says Nicolas Maduro and his wife have been indicted in the Southern District of New York. Maduro has been charged with narco-terrorism conspiracy, cocaine importation conspiracy, all the stuff that I just said. They will soon face the full wrath of American justice on American soil and American courts. On behalf of, where did I lose my place there? The entire U.S. DOJ, I would like to thank President Trump, yada, 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 yada. Peace prize. Ha, 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 ha. Yeah, so Biden wanted him too. Yeah. Yep. What's up, Annette? I see you out there. Deb. Gene Shannon. Peace prize. Ha, 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 ha. So we'll have to see what happens.
On Friday, according to the New York Post and
I kind of expect him to be late because it usually is. I don't know if anyone happened to catch the interview this morning he did on Fox News. But I haven't actually had a chance to listen to it myself. I was kind of scrambling around here trying to find some new news and new angles for this. Trump is doing this as a distraction away from Jack Smith's okay. I've heard a lot of different. He's doing this as a distraction for Epstein. He's doing this as a distraction for this and that. Whatever. Anybody know where they're taking Maduro? He's arraigned in, I think, or indicted in New York. I think they're taking him to New York to face the charges. I just watched for the interview. I don't watch Fox. I just saw that. Yeah, no, me either. I don't watch Fox. You'll see. I tried to do a video there before. I won't even subscribe to them. But for that portion to catch the interview that Trump did over there, you kind of have to watch Fox, don't you? Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Where are we at here? So we'll see. Oh, then now it's oil. So it's first it's trying to avoid. I get it. Okay. So it's oil now. All right. Okay. What's it going to be in a few minutes? Some angry. I guess this morning when we had the stream, this morning it was we had quite a few people on there that were just outraged. I do want to. Anyone can confirm that there's Russian fighter jets in Venezuela right now? That'd be interesting. I'm not seeing anything in the. Let's see here. This is posted January. Okay, just a little bit ago. Russian air defenses in Venezuela collapsed as U.S. forces stormed Caracas. Interesting. The United States launched a large-scale military operation against Venezuela early on January 3rd. Initial strikes reportedly targeted the capital, Caracas, around 2 o'clock a.m. local time. Videos circling online show American helicopters in the skies over the city and no visible signs of active air defense systems. Early footage and satellite imagery suggest that U.S. forces began operation after several months of preparation. As of the time of the reporting, no official statement has been issued by the U.S. government regarding the operation's objectives or scope. U.S. strikes reportedly focus on military infrastructure in Caracas, including Fort Tuna, a major complex outside the Venezuela military compound. So a lot of this stuff is just noise. Nice beard, bootlicker. Here come all the haters. Come on, haters. Get in here, haters. Line up. You all can take a shot at me. It's fine. You can rip on my beard, make fun of me. I don't care. So the fact that Maduro was indicted in Southern District of New York is evidence he's a dictator and bad guy? No, not necessarily. I didn't say that. Are people lying about a fake war that's not happening in here? That's a good question. Will Maduro snitch? Will Maduro snitch? Who knows? Mags, do you think this has anything to do with BB's recent visit? No, I doubt it. I don't see why they would have anything to do with each other. What MAGA is doing is wrong, but calling people names is not a productive solution. No new wars. So we're just waiting for Trump to come on. I'm going to play a little bit of that interview from before. It's good to. Where did it go? Damn it. I got so many screens going on over here. Too many screens. Minimize that one. Move this one out the way. There we go. Let's bring this up and see if it gives us anything new.
On the East Coast. And if you're just joining us this morning, we have major breaking news. Venezuelan dictator Nicolas Maduro has been captured by U.S. forces. President Trump confirming the large-scale U.S. military operation overnight.
Attorney General Pam Bondi confirming Maduro and his wife face drug and weapons charges in the U.S. And about 20 minutes ago, Vice President J.D. Vance revealing President Trump offered Maduro multiple off-ramps.
All this comes after explosions rocked the capital of Caracas and surrounding states early this morning. President Trump is expected to hold a news conference from Mar-a-Lago at 11 a.m. this morning. But first, he joins us now by phone. And let's get right to the President of the United States, Donald Trump. President Trump, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Well, thank you very much. Good morning.
So you've had quite a busy evening. Tell us about it.
It was slightly busy, I would say. It was country on earth that could do such a maneuver. If you would have seen what happened, I mean, I watched it literally like I was watching a television show. And if you would have seen the speed, the violence, you know, they say that, the speed, the violence, they use that term. It's it was an amazing thing, an amazing job that these people did. There's nobody else could have done anything like it.
You're at Mar-a-Lago right now. How were you able to watch this?
Well, we watched it from a room. We had a room and we watched it.
They give me their photos of me too. Everybody was friendly with this guy, either friendly or not friendly, but they, he was around. He was all over Palm Beach and other places. The head of Harvard was his best friend, Larry Summers. And Bill Clinton was a friend of his, but everybody was. I actually threw him out of Mar-a-Lago. And as a person that was in Mar-a-Lago, I threw him out. Mar-a-Lago, this is Mar-a-Lago.
And we watched every aspect of it. We were surrounded by lots of people, including generals, and they knew everything that was happening. And it was very complex, extremely complex, the whole maneuver, the landings, the number of aircraft, which were massive.
Yeah, we'll go to the live press conference as soon as it
different
pops
type
up.
of helicopters,
What's up, Barbara?
different type of fighter jets. We had a fighter jet for every possible situation. And they just broke in, and they broke into places that were not really able to be broke into, with steel doors were put there for just this reason, and they got taken out in a matter of seconds. I've never seen anything like it.
And you were able to watch this in real time.
Yeah, and don't forget, I've done some pretty good ones in other parts of the world. Okay, I've done some pretty good ones, but I've never seen anything like this. I was able to watch it in real time, and I watched every aspect of it, and I listened to the communication between where we were in Florida and out in the field in Venezuela. And it was amazing to see the professionalism, the quality of leadership, the professionalism. General Raisin Gain is fantastic. Don't forget, we did another one not so long ago. It was called the knocking out of the Iranian nuclear threat, the nuclear power. That was unbelievable what they did there. And this is something that, I don't know, it's amazing. And to have a few injuries, but no death on our side is really amazing.
Mr. President, critics will say that strong action can risk escalation, but history has shown us that weakness can truly invite chaos. And this military operation clearly sends a message to our adversaries around the world, China, Iran, Russia, that we are no longer the weak administration that we had for 4 years under former President Biden, who tolerated narco-terrorism. What is next for the United States and Venezuela?
Well, we're very strong, and very importantly, if you look at drugs through the oceans, through the seas, they're down 97%. That's the boats that sort of related to this, as you know. The drugs are way down, and it's getting very, very tough. It's a whole different look. We have a whole different country. We have a country now that's respected. We have a country. I built the military in my first term, and they gave a little chunk of it away, but it was a lot. But it was a little chunk relative to what we built. But they gave it to Afghanistan so stupidly. It was one of the. Compare this to Afghanistan, where we were a laughing stock all over the world. We're not a laughing stock anymore. No, we have the greatest military in the world by far. We have the greatest military equipment in the world by far. And you had to see this in real time. You had to see this, the professionalism and the bravery, everything about it. And you almost couldn't hold them back. It was like they wanted to go so badly. And most people would have said, I'll take a pass. I know that Charlie would have wanted to go because Charlie's a very brave person. But I know a lot of other people would have said, I think I'll pass on this one. Let's watch it on television. So it's been amazing to see how good they were, how professional they were, how incredible the equipment we have is. I mean, the level of equipment and to see how it worked so perfectly. And, if you compare this to
so many experts out there.
With, helicopters
so many triggered liberals. That's one of the things that I wanted to see.
Situation, which was a mess. And every other situation compared to this, nobody's ever seen like this. Look, the Iranian.
Not only the reaction from the Venezuelan people, but the reaction from all the leftists in America that are going to go ape. You know what? As soon as they see the news or read the headlines, because they don't go into the story, they just read the headlines.
These are both really important. If you think about equal and importance, I wonder how it's going to be rated. But knocking out the nuclear power of. Think of it. They were ready. They were within 2 months. They would have been a nuclear power. And comparing that to this in a certain different way, I think this might have been actually more complex.
Well, it's
interesting. That was something that was amazing.
It's interesting, Mr. President. We've looked. Our own Lucas Tomlinson, our reporter here. I don't know if you knew this intentionally, but the capture of Maduro and his wife coincides with the 6th anniversary of your taking out the Iranian Revolutionary Guard's Qasem Soleimani. Interestingly, it's 6 years after. But let me ask you a question, Mr. President. Because
anyway, that was the third thing, and we have a fourth. We got Soleimani. We have taken out so many.
It's easy to deal with them. Doesn't bother me. They think it does. That's why they stay here and keep doing that. Which is fine.
We've done a lot, but
I'll take the engagement.
Maybe because it's fresh in our minds. Because again, the Iranian situation was so big, knocking that out, and every single the B-2 bomber, every single missile hit its target, and the target was an air shaft.
Right.
Dark at night. Think of that. Dark at night, no moon. You couldn't see a thing, and every missile went right through that air shaft.
This guy is one of those guys out there. No, you listen to me. Everybody better listen to me. I'm right. I know what I'm talking about. Everybody listen. You should listen. If you don't listen, you're a meanie pants.
So was this operation a message that you're sending to Mexico, to Claudia Sheinbaum, the president there?
Well, it wasn't meant to be, and we're very friendly with her. She's a good woman, but the cartels are running Mexico. She's not running Mexico. The cartels are running Mexico. And we could be politically correct and be nice and say, oh, yes, she is. No, she's very, she's very frightened of the cartels. They're running Mexico. And I've asked her numerous times, would you like us to take out the cartels? No, Mr. President. No, please. So we have to do something because we lost. The real number is 300,000 people, in my opinion. They like to say 100,000. 100,000 is a lot of people. But
cool
the real
story,
number is
bruh.
300,000 people. And we lost it to drugs, and they come in through the southern border, mostly the southern border. Plenty come in through Canada too, by the way, in case you don't know. But they come in through the southern border, and something's going to have to be done with Mexico.
Why did you decide to do this morning?
Are you talking about calling you people or the
No, taking out
I'm not sure.
Maduro.
I'm not sure which is worse. If you want to know the truth, I'm calling you. I haven't spoken to anybody else because Charlie Hurd has been a great friend of mine for a long time. He was with me when it was not fashionable, and those are the people I like. He was with me, Charlie, when it was not at all fashionable. So that's the reason I'm doing this. And you
As soon as he goes live on the press conference, I'll
why
bring
did you
it
make
up.
the decision to take out Maduro this morning? And what was Maduro doing when our guys
We could do
came in on him?
regular speed.
So we were going to do this 4 days
I'll do
ago, but the weather was
1.25.
not perfect.
I wanted
The
to
weather
get through
has
it.
be perfect. And we had just a perfect weather. We had, very good. A little bit few more clouds than we thought, but it was good. We waited 4 days. We were going to do this 4 days ago, 3 days ago, 2 days ago. And then all of a sudden it opened up and we said go. And I'll tell you, it was just amazing. And what was he doing? He was in a very highly guarded, like a fortress, actually. He was in a fortress. That we had nobody killed was amazing. I think we had nobody killed, I have to say, because a couple of guys were hit, but they came back and they're supposed to be in pretty good shape. But that we had nobody killed, that we lost no aircraft. Everything came back. We got it all back. One of them was hit pretty hard, but a helicopter, but we got it back. But it just was the right time to do it. We had to do it because it's a war. We're losing 300,000 people a year. We don't lose that much in a war, okay, if you look. And we had to do it. But he was in a house that was more like a fortress than a house. It had steel doors. It had what they call a safety space where it's, solid steel all around. He didn't get that space closed. He was trying to get into it, but he got bum rushed so fast that he didn't get into that. We were prepared. We had, massive blowtorches and everything else that you need to get through that steel, but we didn't need it. He didn't make it to that area of the house.
Mr. President, your war on narcoterrorism from our southern border and beyond clearly will save American lives. Moving forward for Venezuela, what do you think is next for the Venezuelan people now that you have removed Maduro so that he can face American justice?
Well, we're making that decision now. We can't take a chance on letting somebody else run and just take over where he left off. So we're making that decision now. We'll be involved in it very much. And we want to do liberty for the people. We want to, have a great relationship. I think the people of Venezuela are very, very happy because they love the United States. They were run by essentially a dictatorship or worse. It couldn't have been worse. It was a terrible thing that was taking place in Venezuela. But look, tremendous numbers of people were being killed through drugs. And what they did to our country in sending prisoners and people from mental institutions and drug lords and everything, they sent them by the hundreds of thousands of people into our country. And that is just unforgivable. That's why, he wanted to negotiate at the end, and I didn't want to negotiate. I said, nope, we got to do it. He was trying to negotiate at the end. You probably saw that. And trying hard to make a deal. And I said, and, this could have been a very foolish thing if it didn't work out. But I said, nope, we can't do it. What he did with drugs was bad. What he did with a lot of other things was bad. But what he did was sending hundreds of thousands of Tren de Aragua and drug dealers. And they emptied out their jails into our country. They emptied out, if you think about it, they emptied out all of their mental institutions into our country. What he did there, and every other thing, is unforgivable.
Mr. President, you're already getting reaction from members of Congress on both sides. One Democrat, Jim McGovern, is saying that you did not get authorization from Congress. And he says Trump just launched an unjustified illegal strike on Venezuela. Wanted to get your reaction to that.
Well, look, these are weak, stupid people. And they're trying to save themselves from almost destroying our country. If I didn't get elected, our country would not, I don't even think we'd have a country right now. We were heading down the path of destruction. We had inflation. We had high prices. They're the ones that caused high prices, not us. We're bringing the prices way down. We have oil now in many places, $1.99 a gallon. And, when you do oil, everything follows, but everything is following.
I don't.
But no, they would have
I think it was
destroyed our
about
country.
removing
If we didn't get
China's
elected,
influence
if
and some other things.
Kamala or a Joe
Monroe
got
Doctrine type
elected,
stuff.
Group got elected. But if Kamala got elected, I don't think at this point we would even have a country. We were laughed at all over the world. The money was flowing out Everybody was leaving. The companies were leaving. The people were leaving. The wealth was leaving. We have $18 trillion coming back into our country, the biggest number in the history of the world. The second biggest number was $3 trillion. We're at $18 trillion, and it's building factories and plants. It's doing things that no country has ever seen before. But as far as last night is concerned, it was really genius. What they did is genius. And the Democrats, maybe they'll take a shot. You know, they'll take a shot. Oh, all they do is complain. They don't talk about, they should say, you know what, we did a great job. We're stopping drugs from coming into this country. And nobody's been able to do it until we came along. But they should say, great job. They shouldn't say, oh, gee, maybe it's not constitutional.
Big day.
You know, the
Might as
same
well
old
stay away
stuff
for a little
that
while.
we've been hearing for years and years and years. They did an incredible job. These men and women that went out there last night, the courage they had, going into an area where, you know, all the lights were turned off. We turned off almost all of the lights in Caracas. I mean, this thing was so organized. And they go into a dark space with machine guns facing them all over the place. And then you hear from a guy that I'd never even heard of him, but you hear from some congressman saying, oh, this is so terrible. We're saving lives. And by the way, the boats, every boat, because that's sort of related to this, every boat that we hit saves 25,000 lives.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to get any hosannas or thanks from certain Democrats in Congress, that's for sure. But one of the things, you've already obviously cracked down on these drug boats. You've also cracked down on these illegal oil shipments coming out of Venezuela. The countries that negotiate with Venezuela for that illegal oil are already starting to suffer. What do you see as the future of Venezuela's oil industry?
Well, I see that we're going to be very strongly involved in it. That's all. I mean, what can I say? We have the greatest oil companies in the world, the biggest, the greatest, and we're going to be very much involved in it. We can't do something like this, and we're prepared. You know, we were prepared to do a second wave. We were all set, and this was so lethal. This was so powerful that we didn't have to. But
I wonder how late he's going to be.
We're out there with an armada like nobody's ever seen before, and we're prepared, and frankly, probably thought we were going to have to do it. But we were prepared for a second wave going in.
Mr. President, sorry, Nicole, can I just follow up on one thing? And that was when part of Vice President Vance's tweet about an hour ago said that you offered several off-ramps to Maduro that he didn't take. What did those off-ramps look like?
Some did say there was some couple of our guys were hit, but they seem to be fine. No life-threatening injuries.
In the end, I really didn't. We had to do something that was really much more surgical, much more powerful. This
cool story, bro.
Anything we could have done.
It's not accurate.
This is amazing, and we learned a lot going into. We learned a lot of things, but this was a very important symbol. And I had discussions. I actually spoke to him myself, but I said, "You have to give up. You have to surrender."
When did you speak to him?
He was not willing. A week ago. A couple of times, but a week ago.
Mr. President, this is clearly a signature moment for your administration, this military strike, the capture of Maduro.
We've had a lot of signature moments, if you really think about it.
It certainly was. Let's add it to the list, one of the signature moments. But what do you say to the people waking up to this news this morning who are concerned that these actions may result in
all the
involvement of U.S. military in Venezuela?
Well, first of all, I say that what we're doing is saving lives because the drug trafficking is so bad. It's gotten so out of control. And, when you think 97% of the drugs coming in by sea, by ocean, by waterway, 97% down. It's almost nothing left.
Let's go, Trump. 11 o'clock, he said.
You see very few ships coming in loaded up with, hundreds of bags of fentanyl, cocaine, and everything else you can imagine. It's virtually stopped. And we'll stop it on land. And this was one of the things that we did to stop it on land.
TDS. There's a lot of TDS going on.
This was a part of it. There are other parts, and there are other areas, frankly. But what they did is really amazing, and I think it sends a signal. We're not going to be pushed around as a country anymore by these countries where we want to be politically correct all the time. They're killing our people. If we had a war, if you lost 300,000 people in the Civil War, we lost 600,000 people. We lose 300,000 people a year to drugs, and we're not going to allow it anymore with any country.
You said that you were prepared for a second wave, and I assume that you still are. But what does the future look like for the Maduro loyalists who are still in Caracas and I assume have not yet fled or been removed?
So you want
if they stay loyal, the future is really
able
bad.
To attack us.
It's really bad for them.
Okay, pretty smart.
If they convert, there's a conversion factor. I would say most of them have converted. He's had very little loyalty. In fact, I noticed that today that some people are marching on the street waving flags, and they're very in support. They have American flags being waved on the streets. So, I mean, I think he's got very little support. Look, he was a dictator that the people hated. So I don't see a lot of that. I don't think we're going to see a lot of that.
Well, will you, Mr. President, throw your support behind opposition leader Maria Corina Machado, who, as you recall, won the Nobel Peace Prize and then in turn dedicated it to you for your efforts in pressuring Maduro? Are you going to fully support her to take over to run the country?
Well, we're going to have to look at it. Right now, they have a vice president, as you know. I mean, I don't know what kind of an election that was, but, the election of Maduro was a disgrace, just like my election was a disgrace. 2020 was a disgrace. And,
Yes, it was.
2024 was too big to rig. But what he did was, I mean, his was open. I would say, frankly, you want to know the truth? I think Charlie would testify this. It wasn't a hell of a lot worse than what they did to us in
the election in 2020,
our election was
it's
a
crazy how
disgrace in
God
2020.
works in
Everyone knows that.
mysterious ways.
It's come out. And
I think we almost needed Biden to win so that there could be a better contrast between the two.
The people have no
And
love.
that Trump could realize, like when he went in the first time, he didn't realize how Washington really worked. He didn't see it. I don't think he saw
And
it.
he ran it tough. And the people can't believe
They
they
got
got so
him.
lucky.
Mr. President, what do you make of the fact that just hours before the airstrike, there was a Chinese delegation meeting with Nicolas Maduro, and we have yet to hear from China any sort of comment on the attacks?
I know nothing about that, but I have a very good relationship with President Xi, and there's not going to be a problem. And they're going to get oil. We're going to allow people to have oil. But we can't take a chance after having done this incredible thing last night of letting somebody else take over, where we have to do it again. We can do it again, too. Nobody can stop us. There's nobody that has the capability that we have.
Come on,
When I
Trump,
watch
where
that war
are
in
you?
Russia going on and on and on, and
He's
everybody
always
dying.
late to these things.
It's like it's primitive.
Always.
It's primitive. It's horrible. It's
Could
really horrible.
you tell us, Mr. President, a little bit more? Because you're talking about the precision of this operation and the brave men and women. Was this Delta Force guys? Were this Navy SEALs?
These
Could you talk a
people
little
are
bit
the
more
most,
about that?
yeah, they're the most highly trained soldiers in the world. There's nobody that has their talent, because it's talent. It's not just bravery. It's bravery. You have to have the bravery.
You
but
are
it's
educated.
talent. Nobody has talent like this, and nobody has equipment like we have. I mean, everything was pinpoint. They had everything. They practiced. They actually built a house which was identical to the one they went into, with all the safes and all the steel all over the place, and at the top was stairways. And
I keep checking to make sure I'm.
It was Delta Force,
Yeah,
sir?
he's just
I don't
not
want to
here
say,
yet.
but I will say this: I'm having a news conference in just a little while, so therefore I'm going to have to get off this line pretty soon. But I'm having a news conference at 11, and we're going to be talking about it. And I will say that I'm very proud to be an American.
As are we, Mr. President. Will we be hearing from Secretary of War Pete Hegseth about what went into the planning and the execution
Yes.
of this incredible operation?
Yes, and General Kane and some other people, they'll be telling you things that we can't tell you. We're not going to say everything, because we have things that nobody even knows about. Nobody has even a clue about. And we don't want to talk about that, and there's no reason to. But you'll be seeing a lot of things. So we're going to have a pretty open news conference, and we have to make sure that Venezuela doesn't go bad again. It went bad. It was a great country 20 years ago, and now it's horrible. Remember, I used to say that if they get elected, the other side, the people that we're talking about, if they get elected in our country, it will be Venezuela on steroids. You remember that? I used to say
Yes.
that all the time, Charlie, right?
Indeed.
We would have been Venezuela on steroids, meaning we would have been a bigger version of
All MAGA are traitors. Don't you understand that you're subverted when you think that way? Either side, when you think that way from either side, the whole left is whatever, the whole right is whatever.
Can you tell us where Maduro and his wife are right this second?
Well, they'll be heading to New York. They were indicted in New York, and also.
So are they taken to a ship first, and then?
Yes, to Iwo Jima. They're on a ship,
Okay.
but they'll be heading into New York. The helicopters took them out, and they went by helicopter in a nice flight. I'm sure they loved it. But they killed a lot of people. Remember that they killed a lot of people, and
A lot of Americans.
even people in their own country. They killed a lot of people to maintain power. He's a very vicious person.
Well, President Trump, I'm incredibly grateful to you for coming on this morning. Thank you very much, and thank you for your time. We know that you've got a lot on your plate these days, but we're very appreciative, and we look forward to your press conference at 11.
Well, remember one thing: our country now, it's not because of this, but long before this, almost from the time I took office, it's gone so fast. Our country is hotter than it's ever been before, and we had a dead country a year and a half ago. We had a dead country. This country was dead with Biden and with that group of people.
Right. I'm going to bring it up. Excuse me. I'm going to bring up the press conference as soon as it starts. It hasn't yet. I'll leave it on the screen over here. Um, I just want to answer a couple of comments in the like. Was MAGA deficient in knowing how to do research? Man, we got to stop with all this group think. Stop with all the group think. That's what makes it easy to control us. Think of us as Americans. You might think differently than I do. I think differently than you do. Like this reality bites back thing guy or whatever. We think differently, but that we're still Americans. Like you said earlier, it's our job to question our government. Yeah, absolutely it is. We agree there. Trump is not on a pedestal over here. He's a great president. He's doing amazing things. I support almost everything he's doing, but he's not something I worship. You have to be honest. You have to be honest about it. Look at it with facts, not with emotions. You start looking at things with emotions, and then you get all screwed up. I just want to see. This guy was in here earlier. Haven't won a war since World War II. Okay. Man, me thinks you should open a history book. Same story syndrome is a very common symptom of dementia. All right. Democrats and Republicans are the problem. Anyone believing in a two-party system is an idiot. The only party that counts is the American party. Agree. But how do you you have to have some kind of structure to run elections, don't you? Don't you? Let's see this thing. Come on, Trump. Where you at, Trump? Yeah, see, like that leftards are a group I'll never stop slamming with facts. Yeah, that's good, but there's no need to. If you go into one of those conversations insulting that person that you want to reach them, but if you start insulting them, they're going to go immediately on the defensive. They're not going to be receptive to listen to you. They're not going to be paying any attention. Come on, Trump. The heck? What the heck, bruh? So Maduro, his illegal or oppressive behavior is narco-terrorism and drug trafficking, working with FARC guerrillas to export hundreds of tons of drugs, illegal weapon possession and trafficking, conspiring to acquire and possess machine guns, destructive devices, and other arms for use in operations and regime protection. Human rights abuses and oppression, silencing critics through arbitrary arrest, torture, and extrajudicial killings, with security forces detaining opposition leaders like National Assembly Vice President Edgar Zambrano. Election rigging and constitutional violations. What else? Illegal smuggling and illicit activities, collaboration with foreign oppressive regimes, suppression of dissent and media, economic oppression and human. This is typical dictator stuff. It's typical dictator stuff. Curious to see what happens with this. That's for sure. I really wish he would come on live already. We'll put it on the bigger screen when that happens. No, you have real world experience, but that guy knows better. That guy knows better. That's the thing. The when we get to the point where we won't even listen to the other people, we have to be ready to accept new information. We have to accept new information, and whenever that new information becomes, whenever we see that or receive that new information, we have to be willing to be able to change our minds. We can't just defend our opinions, even when we find out, man, they're probably wrong. We shouldn't be doing that. It don't make sense. Where'd that one go? I had a video up here with Venezuelans celebrating. It says Venezuelan. Let's see. Venezuelans abroad celebrate the U.S. capture of Maduro. Huh. See, I said it's important to see what the Venezuelan people think, but it doesn't make it legal. You know, if it's illegal, it doesn't make it legal. Let's see here. Bring this back up so we're ready to go whenever he finally comes on. That's how Trump does it, man. He comes on when he wants. Comes on when he wants. Yeah, I want to go live at 10:45, so I'll be all ready for him to come on. Here we are. Epstein files now. Yeah. Remember when Biden was sniffing little girls? All I see is a lot of Venezuelans celebrating. Venezuelans in South Florida are celebrating.
Live from Doral. She is outside in Arepaso, which we know is the mecca of the Venezuelan community there. And Gabby,
thing's pretty busy behind you, Gabby. It's 6 a.m. and people have been out there. Can you tell us about what you're seeing and how long you've been seeing people out there reacting to this news?
Guys, history is being made in real time. There are hundreds of people here in El Arepaso, which, like you said, has been the mecca for Venezuelans speaking out against injustices in their country for decades. I'm joined by Edgar. Edgar has been here since he was 11 years old, born and raised in Venezuela, out here since early this morning. Tell me, why did you want to be out here?
Well, okay, before I begin, I just want to talk to you, America, and I hope you have your coffee when I tell you this, but these are great news. All eyes on Venezuela. These are historical news. This is history in the making. I mean, my chest, it feels like it's gonna explode with joy, because before I was even born, there have been struggles. My family has been fighting for so many years before I was even here. They have told me about it. They told me about a time where democracy existed, and now I can finally look forward to that. And that's just everything that I can ask for. And you know, I just want to tell you people, America, Venezuelans are good people. The greatest people that I know, I can vouch for them. We are good. We are working hard, and this is President Donald Trump and Maria Corina Machado just created an opportunity for us to begin working harder than ever, because that's what we have always been doing. But now we're working in our country. But you know, we also have worked so hard here in the United States to build so much things. And I just want to thank you, America. Thank you for giving us this opportunity to work.
You know, there's a lot of pride that comes with Venezuelans. He actually wore this flag just like this for his college graduation in the University of Florida, just to show you how much love there is for this country.
Polls are
that's gone
used
through
to
so
influence
much
the
for
people.
so long. Being here has been incredible. People are dancing, people are cheering, and we've been here so many times, Christian, like you said in the past, when there have been
Oh,
and they would cheer, "Si se puede, si se puede."
now it's he meant strongly approve. He wasn't talking about the approval rating. He meant strongly approve because you called him on his BS, and now he had to back up into a corner. I get it. Change the move the goalpost.
Absurdity comes. I plead, America, again, I plead for you for mercy for us Venezuelans. People such as me, I have been here almost my whole life, almost all of my youth. And I do believe that the future of Venezuelans is in Venezuela. But I also think that
That's a good comment there too.
some people here also want to.
I remember
continue
Iraqis
here
cheering
in
it
the United States,
too.
building,
How'd that work
a
out?
beautiful nation.
Or how's that working today? Well, we stayed there and did regime change garbage. That was the problem.
Beautiful city. I recommend everybody to come.
That was a lot of the problem. We did try to do the regime change stuff there, and they didn't want that. They wanted their own country so they could do what they wanted with it. That's what they need to do in Venezuela is get out now. Offer help if they need it, but get out.
So much. Thank you, America.
Thank you so much for sharing those sentiments. Guys, this is something that I find really interesting here. Everyone here, American, Venezuelan, have said they're so happy for the freedom that they experienced here, and they just hope that freedom translates into their home country, Venezuela. All we've heard was freedom, freedom, freedom. Yes, we did it. Now we can continue to move forward. By no means are any of them saying now comes the easy part. Certainly the hard parts are on the way, but they're saying now is finally a step in the right direction that they've all been waiting for so long. I want to give you a little bit more of a scene setter here, guys. Look, people with flags, holding them up, holding them high. Hundreds of people here, cars, playing music, everyone here dancing. It really is wonderful to see so many people coming together. There are a lot of emotions behind this. I mean, they're not just cheering because of what just happened today. This comes from generations upon generations of stories of struggle.
Yeah, we saw this happen before with people were cheering and this and that. Yeah, I talk a lot about how the young people out here nowadays don't see the cycles like this, like that exact example. But I think if we learn from our lessons, and Trump was against that the whole time. So if we learn from our lessons and we handle this the way I think he might, it should be okay. It should be just like handing the country back to their own people. We don't shouldn't have anything to do with the regime change or anything like that. We should be out of there. We should offer support because we came in and did this on our own. So we should offer support if they need it, but we should leave. No boots on the ground, no nothing like that, staying around there. None of that.
Maybe a half hour ago, and we see the jubilation, right? The joy behind you of people that have been sitting on the edge of their seats waiting for this moment. Still unclear, where things will go, if there in fact will be a regime change. And I don't want to sound negative because by all indication, that is where we're going, but there's a lot of question, a lot of concern. You see a lot of celebration behind you, but of course in Caracas, Venezuela, there is a lot of fear
on social media at MagAmericans
next.
Yes, Gabby. And have you felt that while you've been there interacting with people? Have you felt that there is any sense of fear? Or you felt like it's just been right now, everyone's staying pretty much positive?
Well, you know what? It's mixed, right? I'm glad you asked that. There's a lot of emotions, like we said. Like I've mentioned, though, there are a lot of people that are FaceTiming.
There's no sound. Let's try this again. Then we'll go to a different.
The United States Armed Forces conducted an extraordinary military operation in the capital of Venezuela. Overwhelming American military power, air, land, and sea, was used to launch a spectacular assault, and it was an assault like people have not seen since World War II. It was a force against a heavily fortified military fortress in the heart of Caracas to bring outlaw dictator Nicolas Maduro to justice. This was one of the most stunning, effective, and powerful displays of American military might and competence in American history. And if you think about it, we've done some other good ones like the attack on Soleimani, the attack on al-Baghdadi, and the obliteration and decimation of the Iran nuclear sites just recently in an operation known as Midnight Hammer, all perfectly executed and done. No nation in the world could achieve what America achieved yesterday, or frankly, in just a short period of time. All Venezuelan military capacities were rendered powerless as the men and women of our military, working with U.S. law enforcement, successfully captured Maduro in the dead of night. It was dark. The lights of Caracas were largely turned off due to a certain expertise that we have. It was dark and it was deadly. But captured along with his wife, Celia Flores, both of whom now face American justice. Maduro and Flores have been indicted in the Southern District of New York, Jay Clayton, for their campaign of deadly narco-terrorism against the United States and its citizens. I want to thank the men and women of our military who achieved such an extraordinary success overnight with breathtaking speed, power, precision, and competence. You rarely see anything like it. You've seen some raids in this country that didn't go so well. They were an embarrassment. If you look back to Afghanistan, or if you look back to the Jimmy Carter days, they were different days. We're a respected country again, like never before. These highly trained warriors operating in collaboration with U.S. law enforcement caught them in a very ready position. They were waiting for us. They knew we had many ships out in the sea, just sort of waiting. They knew we were coming. So they were in what's called a ready position, but they were completely overwhelmed and very quickly incapacitated. If you would have seen what I saw last night, you would have been very impressed. I'm not sure that you'll ever get to see it, but it was an incredible thing to see.
That's got to be neat to be able
Not
to
a
watch
single
those
American
live.
service member was killed, and not a single piece of American equipment was lost. We had many helicopters, many planes, many people involved in that fight. But think of that, not one piece of military equipment was lost, not one service member was, more importantly, killed. The United States military is the strongest and most fearsome military on the planet by far, with capabilities and skills our enemies can scarcely begin to imagine. We have the best equipment anywhere in the world. There's no equipment like what we have. And you see that even if you just look at the boats. We've knocked out 97% of the drugs coming in by sea.
Somehow that's bad.
90%. Each boat kills on average, 25,000 people. We knocked out 97%. And those drugs mostly come from a place called Venezuela. We're going to run the country until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition. So we don't want to be involved with having somebody else get in, and we have the same situation that we had for the last long period of years. So we are going to run the country until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition.
It gets
And
sticky
it has
there.
to be judicious, because that's what we're all about. We want peace, liberty and justice for the great people of Venezuela. And that includes many from Venezuela that are now living in the United States and want to go back to their country. It's their homeland. We can't take a chance that somebody else takes over Venezuela that doesn't have the good of the Venezuelan people in mind. We've had decades of that. We're not going to let that happen. We're there now, and what people don't understand, but they understand as I say this, we're there now, but we're going to stay until such time as the proper transition can take place. So we're going to stay until such time as we're going to run it essentially until such time as a proper transition can take place. As everyone knows, the oil business in Venezuela has been a bust, a total bust for a long period of time. They were pumping almost nothing by comparison to what they could have been pumping and what could have taken place. We're going to have our very large United States oil companies, the biggest anywhere in the world, go in, spend billions of dollars, fix the badly broken infrastructure, the oil infrastructure, and start making money for the country. And we are ready to stage a second and much larger attack if we need to do so. So we were prepared to do a second wave if we needed to do so. We actually assumed that a second wave would be necessary, but now it's probably not. The first wave, if you'd like to call it that, the first attack was so successful, we probably don't have to do a second, but we're prepared to do a second wave, a much bigger wave, actually. This was pinpoint, but we have a much bigger wave that probably won't have to do. This partnership of Venezuela with the United States of America, a country that everybody wants to be involved with because of what we were able to do and accomplish, will make the people of Venezuela rich, independent, and safe.
That would be
will
great.
Also make the many, many people from Venezuela that are living in the United States extremely happy. They suffered. They suffered. So much was taken from them. They're not going to suffer anymore. The illegitimate dictator Maduro was the kingpin of a vast criminal network responsible for trafficking colossal amounts of deadly and illicit drugs into the United States. As alleged in the indictment, he personally oversaw the vicious cartel known as Cartel de las Solas,
These people are just
which
totally
flooded our
subverted.
nation with lethal poison, responsible for the deaths of countless Americans, the many, many Americans, hundreds of thousands over the years of Americans died because of
It's
it.
funny that people do it. He's
Maduro
probably been up
and his
all
wife
night
will
long
soon
under highly
face the
stressful
full
situations.
might of American
Open your
justice and
eyes.
stand trial on American soil. Right now, they're on a ship. They'll be heading to ultimately New York, and then a decision will be made, I assume, between New York and Miami or Florida. But we have people where the overwhelming evidence of their crimes will be presented in a court of law. And I've seen it. I've seen what we have. It's both horrible and breathtaking that something like this could have been allowed to take
Just
place.
mad because you can't read
For
cursive.
many years after his term as president of Venezuela expired, Maduro remained in power and waged a ceaseless campaign of violence, terror, and subversion against the United States of America, threatening not only our people, but the stability of the entire region. And you all saw it. In addition to trafficking gigantic amounts of illegal drugs that inflicted untold suffering and human destruction all over the country, all over, in particular, the United States. Maduro sent savage and murderous gangs, including the bloodthirsty prison gang, Tren de Aragua, to terrorize American communities nationwide. And he did indeed. They were in Colorado. They took over apartment complexes. They cut the fingers off people if they called police. They were brutal, but they're not so brutal now. And I just have to congratulate our military, Pete, and everybody, and our National Guard, because the job that they've done, whether it's in Washington, D.C., where we have a totally safe city, where it was one of the most unsafe cities anywhere in the world, frankly, and now we have no crime in Washington, D.C. We haven't had a killing. We had the terrorist
Well, we talk about
attack
Washington,
a few
D.C.
weeks
crime.
ago. A little bit of a different kind of a threat, but we haven't had a killing in a long period of time, 6-7 months. We used to have two, on average, 2 a week in Washington, our capital. We don't have that anymore. The restaurants are opening. Everyone's happy. They're going, they're walking their daughters, they're walking their children, their wives. They walk to restaurants. Restaurants are opening all
All right,
over Washington, D.C.
come on, talk about Venezuela
So I want
stuff.
to thank the National Guard. I want to thank our military, and I want to thank law enforcement. Been amazing.
Happened to the picture, White
And
House.
they should do it with more cities. We're doing it, as you know, and we're doing it in Memphis, Tennessee right now, and crime is down. We've just sort of started a few weeks ago, but crime is down now 77%. And the governor of Louisiana
He
called.
sounds tired.
Person, and he
Sounds
wanted
like
us
he's
to
been up
help
all
him,
night.
as you know, in a certain very nice part of Louisiana, and we have done that. And it was a rough section, and we have crime down. I understand it's down to almost nothing already after 2.5 weeks. New Orleans, it's down to almost nothing, and we've only been there for 2.5 weeks. Can't imagine why governors wouldn't want us to help.
I don't
We
think
also
anybody's
helped, as you know, in
anybody's
Chicago, and crime
boots.
went down a little
Thanks,
bit there.
though.
We did a very small
Appreciate
help
your
because
attempt
we
at
had
getting me riled up.
we had no working ability with the governor. The governor was a disaster, and the mayor was a disaster. But it knocked down crime. But we're pulling out of there when they need us. We'll know. You'll know. You'll be writing about it. And likewise, Los Angeles, where we saved Los Angeles early on, where the head of the
Come on,
police
Trump, get
department
back
made a
to it.
statement that if the federal government didn't come in, we would have lost Los Angeles. That's long after the fires. That's when they had the riots in Los Angeles. We did a great job. Got no credit for it whatsoever.
Amen,
But that's
Jericho.
okay. It doesn't matter. We don't need the credit. But we'll be pulling out when they need us. They'll call, or we'll go back if we have to. We'll go back. But we did a great job in various cities. But the place that we're very proud of is Washington, D.C., because it's our nation's capital. We took it from being a crime-ridden
People
mess
still believe this
to
crap?
being one of the safest cities in the
Pete tape
country.
is real. Give me a
But
break.
the gangs that they sent raped, tortured, and murdered American women and children. They were in all of the cities I mentioned, Tren de Aragua, and they were sent by Maduro to terrorize our people. And now Maduro will never again be able to threaten an American citizen or anybody from Venezuela. There will no longer be threats. For years, I've highlighted the stories of those innocent Americans whose lives were
No,
so
they ignored it.
heartlessly robbed by this Venezuelan
They were told to ignore it.
terrorist organization. Really one of the worst. One of the worst. They say the worst. Americans like 12-year-old Jocelyn Nungari from Houston. Beautiful Jocelyn Nungari. What happened to her? They, as you know, they kidnapped, assaulted, and murdered by Tren de Aragua animals. They murdered Jocelyn and left her dead under the bridge. There was a bridge that will never be the same to so many people after seeing what happened. As I've said many times, the Maduro regime emptied out their prisons, sent their worst and most violent monsters into the United States to steal American lives. And they came from mental institutions and insane asylums. They came from prisons and jails. The reason I say both, they sound similar. Actually, prisons, a little bit more hostile, a little bit tougher. A mental institution isn't as tough as an insane asylum, but we got them both. They sent from their mental institutions. They sent from their jails, prisons. They were drug dealers. They were drug kingpins. They
Sounds
sent
old, but
everybody
you know what
bad
Biden
into the
know.
United States, but no longer. And we have now a border where nobody gets through. In addition, Venezuela unilaterally seized and stole American oil. American assets and American platforms, costing us billions and billions of dollars. They did this a while ago, but we never had a president that did anything about it. They took all of our property. It was our property. We built it. And we never had a president that decided to do anything about it. Instead, they fought wars that were 10,000 miles away. We built Venezuela oil industry with American talent, drive, and skill. And the socialist regime stole it from us during those previous administrations, and they stole it through force. This constituted one of the largest thefts of American property in the history of our country. Considered the largest theft of property in the history of our country. Massive oil infrastructure was taken like we were babies, so we didn't do anything about it. I would have done something about it. America will never allow foreign powers to rob our people or drive us back into and out of our own hemisphere. That's what they did. Furthermore, under the now deposed dictator Maduro, Venezuela was increasingly hosting foreign adversaries in our region and acquiring menacing offensive weapons that could threaten U.S. interests and lives. And they used those weapons last night. Potentially in league with the cartels operating along our border. All of these actions were in gross violation of the core principles of American foreign policy, dating back more than 2 centuries, and not anymore. All the way back, it dated to the Monroe Doctrine.
Oh, he said the Monroe Doctrine.
And the Monroe Doctrine is
liberals,
a
get ready,
big deal.
trip out.
But we've superseded it by a lot, by a real lot. They now call it the Donroe Document. I don't know. It's Monroe Doctrine. We sort of forgot about it. It was very important, but we forgot about it. We don't forget about it anymore. Under our new national security strategy, American dominance in the Western Hemisphere will never be questioned again. Won't happen. So just in concluding, for decades, other administrations have neglected or even contributed to these growing security threats in the Western Hemisphere. Under the Trump administration, we are reasserting American power in a very powerful way in our home region. And our home region is very different than it was just a short while ago. The future will be, and we did this in my first term. We had great dominance in my first term, and we have far greater dominance right now. Everyone's coming back to us. The future will be determined by the ability to protect commerce and territory and resources that are core to national security. These are core to our national security. Just like tariffs are, they've made our country rich, and they've made our national security stronger than ever before. But these are the iron laws that have always determined global power. And we're going to keep it that way. We will secure our borders. We will stop the terrorists. We will crash the cartels, and we will defend our citizens against all threats, foreign and domestic. Other presidents may have lacked the courage or whatever to defend America, but I will never allow terrorists and criminals to operate with impunity against the United States. This extremely successful operation should serve as warning to anyone who would threaten American sovereignty or endanger American lives. Very importantly, the embargo on all Venezuelan oil remains in full effect. The American Armada remains poised in position, and the United States retains all military options until United States demands have been fully met and fully satisfied. All political and military figures in Venezuela should understand what happened to Maduro can happen to them, and it will happen to them if they aren't just, fair, even to their people. The dictator and terrorist, Maduro, is finally gone in Venezuela. People are free. They're free again. It's been a long time for them, but they're free. America is a safer nation. This morning, it's a prouder nation this morning because it didn't allow this horrible person and this country that was doing very bad things to us. It didn't allow it to happen. And the Western Hemisphere is right now a much safer place to be. So I want to thank everybody for being here. I want to thank General Raisin Kane. He's a fantastic man. I've worked with a lot of generals. I worked with some I didn't like. I worked with some I didn't respect. I worked with some that just weren't good. But this guy is fantastic. I watched last night one of the most precise attacks on sovereignty. I mean, it was an attack for justice. And I'm very proud of him. And I'm very proud of our Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, who I'm going to ask to say a few words. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. Finally, a commander-in-chief the world respects and the American people deserve. And as the president said, words can barely capture the bravery and the power and the precision of this historic operation, a massive joint military and law enforcement raid flawlessly executed by the greatest Americans our country has to offer. American warriors are second to none, the best in the world and the best of our country. What all of us witnessed last night was sheer guts and grit, gallantry, and glory of the American warrior. I'm simply humbled by such men. And I tip my hat to our chairman, Dan Raisin Kane, and all those Americans who stood watch last night. Our warriors are the elite of America. And again, President Trump has your back. No other country on planet Earth, and it's not even close, could pull this kind of operation off. And no other president has ever shown this kind of leadership, courage, and resolve, the most powerful combination the world has ever seen. As the president said, our adversaries remain on notice. America can project our will anywhere, anytime.
Boom.
The coordination, the stealth, the lethality, the precision, the very long arm of American justice, all on full display.
I'm going to address all these comments
in the
after
middle
this.
of the night. Nicolas Maduro had his chance, just like Iran had their chance, until they didn't and until he didn't. He effed around and he found out.
Oh.
President Trump is deadly serious about stopping the flow of gangs and violence to our country. Deadly serious about stopping the flow of drugs and poison to our people. Deadly serious about getting back the oil that was stolen from us. And deadly serious about reestablishing American deterrence and dominance in the Western Hemisphere. This is about the safety, security, freedom, and prosperity of the American people. This is America first. This is peace through strength. And the United States War Department is proud to help deliver it. Welcome to 2026. And under President Trump, America is back. I'd like to welcome now our chairman, Chairman Raisin Kane, to give a few more details about the operation, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Thank you, Mr. President, and good morning. Last night, on the order of the President of the United States and in support of a request from the Department of Justice, as the President said, the United States military conducted an apprehension mission in Caracas, Venezuela, to bring to justice two indicted persons, Nicolas and Cecilia Maduro. This operation, known as Operation Absolute Resolve, was discreet, precise, and conducted during the darkest hours of January 2nd and was the culmination of months of planning and rehearsal, an operation that, frankly, only the United States military could undertake. What I'd like to do this morning is talk to you through some of the preparation and the details without compromising any of our tactics, techniques, and procedures. There is always a chance that we'll be tasked to do this type of mission again. Our interagency work began months ago and built on decades of experience of integrating complex air, ground, space, and maritime operations.
Trump does
While the
look
past
bad.
2 decades have honed the skills
to
of
be
our
expected.
special operations forces, this particular mission required
Yep,
every
indeed
component
there are.
of our joint force, with soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and Guardians working in unison with our intelligence agency partners and law enforcement teammates in an unprecedented operation. We leveraged our unmatched intelligence capabilities and our years of experience in hunting terrorists. And we could not have done this mission without the incredible work by various intelligence agencies, including the CIA, NSA, and NGA. We watched, we waited, we prepared, we remained patient and professional. This mission was meticulously planned, drawing lessons from decades of missions over the last many years, many missions over these last many years. This was an audacious operation that only the United States could do. It required the utmost of precision and integration within our joint force. And the word integration does not explain the sheer complexity of such a mission. An extraction so precise, it involved more than 150 aircraft launching across the Western Hemisphere in close coordination, all coming together in time and place to layer effects for a single purpose: to get an interdiction force into downtown Caracas while maintaining the element of tactical surprise. Failure of one component of this well-oiled machine would have endangered the entire mission, and failure is never an option for America's joint force. Those in the air over Caracas last night were willing to give their lives for those on the ground and in the helicopters. Let me talk a little bit about the preparation. After months of work by our intelligence teammates to find Mudoro and understand how he moved, where he lived, where he traveled, what he ate, what he wore, what were his pets, in early December, our force was set pending a series of aligned events.
Just deny.
Choosing the right day to minimize the potential for civilian harm and maximize the element of surprise, and minimize the harm to the indicted
No
personnel,
drugs
so
come
as the
from
president
Venezuela.
said,
Okay.
it could be brought to justice. And as the president said earlier today, weather in Venezuela is always a factor this time of the year. And over the weeks through Christmas and New Year's, the men and women of the United States military sat ready, patiently waiting for the right triggers to be met and the president to order us into action. Last night, the weather broke just enough, clearing a path that only the most skilled aviators in the world could maneuver through. Ocean, mountain, low cloud ceilings. But when tasked with a mission,
It's pretty amazing.
this organization does not quit.
I mean, if you think about it.
At 10:46 p.m. Eastern time last night, the president ordered the United States military to move forward with this mission. He said to us, and we appreciate it, Mr. President, good luck and Godspeed. And those words were transmitted to the entire joint force. Over the course of the night, aircraft began launching from 20 different bases on land and sea across the Western Hemisphere. In total, more than 150 aircraft, bombers, fighters,
FBI,
intelligence, reconnaissance, surveillance, rotary wing were in the air last night. Thousands and thousands of hours of experience were airborne. Our youngest crew member was 20, and our oldest crew member was 49. And there's simply no match for American military might. As the night began, helicopters took off with the extraction force, which included law enforcement officers, and began their flight into Venezuela at 100 feet above the water. As they approached Venezuelan shores, the United States began layering different effects provided by Spacecom, Cybercom, and other members of the interagency to create a pathway. Overhead, those forces were protected by aircraft from the United States Marines, the United States Navy, the United States Air Force, and the Air National Guard. The force included F-22s, F-35s, F-18s, EA-18s, E-2s, B-1 bombers, and other support aircraft, as well as numerous remotely piloted drones. As the force began to approach Caracas, the Joint Air Component began dismantling and disabling the air defense systems in Venezuela, employing weapons to ensure the safe passage of the helicopters into the target area. The goal of our air component was, and always will be to protect the helicopters and the ground force and get them to the target and get them home. As the force crossed the last point of high terrain where they'd been hiding in the clutter, we assessed that we had maintained totally the element of surprise. As the helicopter force ingressed towards the objective at low level, we arrived at Maduro's compound at 1:01 a.m. Eastern Standard Time,
I agree.
or 2:01 a.m. Caracas local time, and the apprehension force descended into Maduro's compound and moved with speed, precision, and discipline towards their objective and isolated the area to ensure the safety and security of the ground force while apprehending the indicted persons. On
Negative.
arrival
Still
into the
open.
target area, the helicopters came under fire, and they replied with that fire with overwhelming force in self-defense. One of our aircraft was hit, but remained flyable, and as the president said earlier today, all of our aircraft came home, and that aircraft remained flyable during the rest of the mission. As the operation unfolded at the compound, our air and ground intelligence teams provided real-time updates to the ground force, ensuring those forces could safely navigate the complex environment without unnecessary risk. The force remained protected by overhead tactical aviation. Mudoro and his wife, both indicted, gave up and were taken into custody by the Department of Justice, assisted by our incredible U.S. military
Yeah, a
with
chance to leave, but
professionalism and precision,
didn't.
with no loss of U.S. life.
Incorrect.
After securing the indicted persons, the force began to prep for departure.
Trump's like, wrap it up. Come
Helicopters
on, wrap
were
it up.
called in
Tired,
to
bro.
exfiltrate the extraction force, while fighter aircraft and remotely piloted aircraft provided overhead coverage and suppressive fire. There were multiple self-defense engagements as the force began to withdraw out of Venezuela. The force successfully exfiltrated and returned to their afloat launch bases, and the force was over the water at 3:29 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
That's amazing.
With indicted persons on board.
That's amazing.
And both Mudoro and his wife were embarked aboard the USS Iwo Jima. In closing, what we've witnessed today is a powerful demonstration of America's joint force. We think, we develop, we train, we rehearse, we debrief, we rehearse again and again, not to get it right, but to ensure that we cannot get it wrong. Our jobs are to integrate combat power so when the order comes, we can deliver overwhelming force at the time and the place of our choosing against any foe anywhere in the world.
Yeah, the price of cocaine just
I am
skyrocketed.
immensely proud today
I bet
of our joint force and
Nancy
filled with
Pelosi
gratitude
changed
to
some investments
represent
around
them here
before this
today.
operation.
There is simply no
Not
mission
cocaine stock.
too difficult for these incredible professionals and the families that stand by them and support them. As we stand here this morning, our forces remain in the region at a high state of readiness, prepared to project power, defend themselves, and our interests in the region. This operation is a testament to the dedication and unwavering commitment to justice and our resolve to hold accountable those who threaten peace and stability. In closing, I want to express my heartfelt gratitude to the brave men and women who executed this mission. Their courage and tireless commitment to our nation are what makes us strong. Thank you, Mr. Secretary, and thank you, Mr. President.
Well, I don't have much to add to what you've heard now, other than the following points. Nicolas Maduro was indicted in 2020 in the United States. He is not the legitimate president of Venezuela. That's not just us saying it. The first Trump administration, the Biden administration, the second Trump administration, none of those three recognized him. He's not recognized by the European Union and multiple countries around the world. He is a fugitive of American justice with a $50 million reward, which I guess we saved $50 million. And
make sure.
Yeah, exactly. But
Don't let anybody claim it. Nobody deserves it but us.
But I want to be clear about one thing. Nicolas Maduro had multiple opportunities to avoid this. He was provided multiple very, very, very generous offers and chose instead to act like a wild man, chose instead to play around. And the result is what we saw tonight. The other message here is the following.
Russia,
You have a
Russia,
guy-
Russia.
Like many people around the world, they like to play games. You have a guy who decides he's going to invite Iran into his country, is going to, do the confiscation of American oil companies, is going to flood our country with gang members, is going to take Americans prisoner and try to hold them for hostage and trade them like he was able to do with the Biden administration. Basically likes to play games all this time and thinks nothing's going to happen. And I hope what people now understand is we have a president. The 47th president of the United States is not a game player. When he tells you that he's going to do something, when tells you he's going to address a problem, he means it. He actions it. I can tell you, I've watched this process now for 14, 15 years, been around it. Everybody talks. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. When I get there, we're going to do this. We're going to take. This is a president of action. Like, I don't understand yet how they haven't figured this out. And now, if you don't know, now you know. Because this is the way it's going to play out. And I think people need to understand that this is not a president that just talks and does letters and press conferences. And, if he says he's serious about something, he means it. And this is something that was a direct threat to the national interest of the United States. And the president addressed it. There's a president of peace, by the way. I told you what I just said earlier. This guy had multiple opportunities to find his way somewhere else and figure out another. He could have been living somewhere else right now, very happy. But instead, he wanted to play big boy. And so now, he's got other sets of problems on his hands. And but I think that the message here should be for the world. Look, the president doesn't go out looking for people to pick fights with. He's not generally wants to get along with everybody. We'll talk and meet with anybody, but don't play games. Don't play games with this president's in office, because it's not going to turn out well. And so I hope that I guess that lesson was learned last night, and we hope it'll be instructive moving forward.
This would be the interesting part. Questions.
Please. Well, we're going to be running it with a group, and we're going to make sure it's run properly. We're going to rebuild the oil infrastructure, which will cost billions of dollars. It'll be paid for by the oil companies directly. They will be reimbursed for what they're doing, but that's going to be paid. And we're going to get the oil flowing the way it should be. As you know, it was just a minor flow. It was actually a minor flow for what they have. But we're going to run it properly, and we're going to make sure the people of Venezuela are taken care of. We're going to make sure the people that were forced out of Venezuela by this thug are also taken care of.
President, does the U.S. running the country mean that U.S. troops will be on the ground? How will that work?
Well, they always say boots on the ground. Oh, so we're not afraid of boots on the ground if we have to have. We had boots on the ground last night at a very high level, actually. We're not afraid of it. We don't mind saying it. But we're going to make sure that that country is run properly. We're not doing this in vain. This is not
Incorrect.
This is a dangerous attack.
Incorrect.
This is an attack that could have gone
Don't
very,
need
very badly.
congressional authority for
very
this.
badly. We could have lost a lot of people last night. We could have lost a lot of dignity. We could have lost a lot of equipment. The equipment is less important, but we could have lost a lot. And we're going to make sure that this is proper. We're there now. We're ready to go again if we have to. We're going to run the country right. It's going to be run very judiciously, very fairly. It's going to make a lot of money. We're going to give money to the people. We're going to reimburse people that were taken advantage of. We're going to take care of everybody. It's very important. We couldn't let them get away with it. They stole our oil. We built that whole industry there, and they just took it over like we were nothing. And we had a president that decided not to do anything about it. So we did something about it. We're late, but we did something about it. Yeah, please.
Mechanism by which you're going to run the country? Are you going to designate a U.S. official to coordinate?
It's
Can you
all
just unpack that?
being done right now. We're designating people. We're talking to people. We're designating various people, and we're going to let you know who those people are.
Would run Venezuela.
Well, it's largely going to be for a period of time. The people that are standing right behind me. We're going to be running it. We're going to be bringing it back. It's a dead. I talk about a dead country. A year and a half ago, we were a dead country. Now we're the hottest country anywhere in the world. We're a country doing better than any country anywhere in the world. And it required leadership. Venezuela has a lot of bad people in there, a lot of bad people that shouldn't be leading. We're not going to take a chance that one of those people take over for Maduro. So you can look at, and others, we have fantastic people, including people in the military. So we're going to have a group of people running it until such time as it can be put back on track, make a lot of money for the people, and give people a great way of life, and also reimbursement for people in our country that were forced out of Venezuela.
Rubio would be. You said earlier today that you weren't going to back Machado to come back and be the opposition leader in your Fox and Friends interview. And then you also mentioned the vice president of Venezuela. Are you going to work with the vice president of Venezuela, or how do you foresee the relationship
Well, I
going?
understand she was just sworn in, but she was, as you know, picked by Maduro. So Marco's working on that directly. He just had a conversation with her, and she's essentially willing to do what we think is necessary to make Venezuela great again. Very simple.
Mr. President, Colombian President Gustavo Petro, a couple weeks ago, he said he's got to watch his ass. And today he said he's not concerned about anything happening to him in the aftermath of this operation. So just what your message is about
he
that.
has cocaine mills. He has factories where he makes cocaine. And yeah, I think I stick by my first statement. He's making cocaine. They're sending it into the United States. So he does have to watch his ass.
Mr. President, did you notify any members of Congress in advance?
Marco, do you want to talk about that? Because you were involved.
Sure. We called members of Congress immediately after. This was not the kind of mission that you can do congressional notification on. It was a trigger-based mission in which conditions had to be met night after night. We watched and monitored that for a number of days. So it's just simply not the kind of mission you can call people and say, hey, we may do this at some point in the next 15 days. But it's largely a law enforcement function. Remember, at the end of the day, at its core, this was an arrest of 2 indicted fugitives of American justice, and the Department of War supported the Department of Justice in that job. Now, there are broader policy implications here, but it's just not the kind of mission that you can pre-notify because it endangers the mission.
Plus, if I could add one thing to that, Congress has a tendency to leak.
Yeah.
This would not be good. If they leaked, General, I think it would have been maybe a very different result. But I have to say, they knew we were coming at some point, a lot of ships out there. They sort of knew we were coming. We went there. But Congress will leak, and we don't want leakers.
People to watch this all play out live. What was Maduro doing when the U.S. forces entered what I assume would be his home? And also, was there any point where the U.S. was considering if Maduro pushed back or resisted killing Maduro?
It could have happened. It could have happened. He was trying to get into a safe place. The safe place is all steel. And he wasn't able to make it to the door because our guys were so fast. They went through the opposition so fast. And there was a lot of opposition. People were wondering, do we get them by surprise? Sort of surprised, but they were waiting for something. It was a lot of opposition. There was a lot of gunfire. You saw some of it today. But he was trying to get to a safe place, which wasn't safe because we would have had the door blown up in about 47 seconds, they say on average, regardless of how thick the steel was. It was a very thick door. It was a very heavy door, but he was unable to get to that door. He made it to the door. He was unable to close it. Go ahead, finish.
To be in the time being right now, do you know his exact
Well,
whereabouts?
eventually, ultimately, in the near future, he's going to be brought to New York.
And where is he going to be held? Where is he going to be held in New York? Do you know?
That's going to be up to the officials that do these things.
Mr. President, the U.S. has something of a mixed track record of ousting dictators.
Yes, it does. Fair
necessarily
question.
what comes afterwards.
Not with
Did
me.
that weigh on your
Well, that's
decision-making?
when we had different presidents, but with me, that's not true. With me, we've had a perfect track record of winning. We win a lot, and we win. If you look at Soleimani, you look at al-Baghdadi, you look at the Midnight Hammer. Midnight Hammer was incredible. Right now, you wouldn't have peace in the Middle East. We have essentially peace in the Middle East because of that. If we weren't successful with Midnight Hammer, you wouldn't have peace in the Middle East. So with me, you've had a lot of victory. You've had only victories. You've had no losses. Yeah.
How long do you expect the U.S. to run Venezuela, and how soon do you want Venezuela
Important
to
question.
hold elections?
So I'd like to do it quickly, but it takes a period of time. We're rebuilding. We have to rebuild their whole infrastructure. The infrastructure is rotted. It's actually very dangerous. It's blow up territory. Oil is very dangerous. It's a very dangerous thing to take out of the ground. It can kill a lot of people. It has killed a lot of people doing just that. The infrastructure is old. It's rotted. Much of it is stuff that we put there 25 years ago, and we're going to be replacing it. And we're going to take a lot of money out so that we can take care of the country. Yeah.
Are you saying that Secretary Rubio and
Mr. President, China, Russia, and Iran have interests in Venezuela. How does this operation affect your relationships with them when
Well,
it
in
comes to
terms
the
of
oil and the
China
drugs?
and Russia, Russia, when we get things straightened out. But in terms of other countries that want oil, we're in the oil business. We're going to sell it to them. We're not going to say we're not going to give it to them. In other words, we'll be selling oil probably in much larger doses because they couldn't produce very much because their infrastructure was so bad. So we'll be selling large amounts of oil to other countries, many of whom are using it now, but I would say many more will come.
Are you saying, Mr. President, are you saying that,
Wait,
Mr. President, are
Go
you
ahead,
saying
behind
that,
you, please.
Mr. President, thank you. What is your message to the people of Venezuela today? Of course, the civilian population specifically, they have a lot of questions. What is your message to the people of
That
Venezuela?
you're going to have peace, justice. You're going to have some of the riches that you should have had for a long period of time. It was stolen from you. But you're going to have peace and you're going to have safety. You're going to have justice. You're going to have a country. You're going to have a real country. You're going to have potentially a great country. You know, if you go back 20 years, maybe even a little longer ago, that was a great country and they destroyed it. Remember, I said that if we lose this election, the United States will be Venezuela on steroids. That's what would have happened.
Yep.
Had we lost the election, the 2024 election, we suffered so badly. When you look at the border from 2020, what they did, what Joe Biden administration did to our country should never be forgotten. But if we had to go through another year of that, we would be exactly where Venezuela was in terms. I used to say, if they win, we're going to be Venezuela on steroids. And that's what would have happened.
President, thank you. Are you saying that Secretary Hegseth and Rubio are going to be running Venezuela, and will you be sending in U.S. military
They're going
troops
to be
to
a team
provide?
that's working with the people of Venezuela to make sure that we have Venezuela right. Because for us to just leave, who's going to take over? I mean, there is nobody to take over. You have a vice president who's been appointed by Maduro, and right now she's the vice president, and she's, I guess, the president. She was sworn in as president just a little while ago. She had a long conversation with Marco, and she said, "We'll do whatever you need." I think she was quite gracious, but she really doesn't have a choice. We're going to have this done right. We're not going to just do this with Maduro, then leave like everybody else, leave and say, let it go to hell.
Yeah.
If we just left, it has zero chance of ever coming back. We'll run it properly. We'll run it professionally. We'll have the greatest oil companies in the world go in and invest billions and billions of dollars and take out money, use that money in Venezuela. And the biggest beneficiary are going to be the people of Venezuela. And also, I can't stress this strongly enough, the people that got thrown out of Venezuela that are now in the United States. And frankly, some want to stay and some probably want to go back. Yeah.
In the country, and were any of the detained Americans?
Well, right now they're
arrested
very
last night?
protected because nobody's going to mess with us. They're very protected. The people of, and we let them know that you better not touch one of them.
And are you concerned that bad elements of the Maduro regime will remain in place?
Well, we know who they are. We're on them, and they're acting much differently now than they would have acted 2 days ago. Okay, wait, behind you, please.
Mr. President, why is running a country in South America America first?
Well, I think it is because we want to surround ourselves with good neighbors. We want to surround ourselves with stability. We want to surround ourselves with energy. We have tremendous energy in that country. It's very important that we protect it. We need that for ourselves. We need that for the world. And we want to make sure we can protect it. Yes, sir. Please, go ahead.
Is a message for Cuba and Canal?
Well, Cuba is an interesting case. Cuba is, not doing very well right now. That system has not been a very good one for Cuba. The people there have suffered for many, many years. And I think Cuba is going to be something we'll end up talking about because Cuba is a failing nation right now, very badly failing nation. And we want to help the people. It's very similar in the sense that we want to help the people in Cuba, but we want to also help the people that were forced out of Cuba and living in this country. Do you want to say something about that, Marco, please?
Well, I mean, I just gave you a statement a few minutes ago about, when the president speaks, you should take him seriously. So suffice it to say, Cuba is a disaster. It's run by incompetent, senile men, and in some cases, not senile, but incompetent nonetheless. It has no economy. It's in total collapse. And by the way, they were, all of the guards that helped protect Maduro, this is well known, their whole spy agency, all that were full of Cubans. I mean, it's amazing. This poor island took over Venezuela in some cases. One of the biggest problems the Venezuelans have is they have to declare independence from Cuba that tried to basically colonize it from a security standpoint. So, yeah, look, if I lived in Havana and I was in the government, I'd be concerned, at least a little bit. Well, the president already announced a week ago that anything that's sanctioned, it's sanctioned oil, it's not going to be allowed to get there. So that's a pre-existing.
The answer is yes. Yes. No, we haven't. No, we haven't.
Mr. President.
Mr. President, on Monday.
Oh, I think it would be very tough for her to be the leader. She doesn't have the support within or the respect within the country. She's a very nice woman, but she doesn't have the respect. To be
Mr.
the
President,
leader.
is it possible that the U.S. ends up administrating Venezuela for years?
Well, it won't cost us anything because the money coming out of the ground is very substantial. So it's not going to cost us anything. We will. Well, we want safety there. We want to be surrounded by countries that aren't housing all of our enemies all over the world. That's what was happening. And you don't want to have that. But we're going to be rebuilding and we're not spending money. The oil companies are going to go in. They're going to spend money. We're going to take back the oil that, frankly, we should have taken back a long time ago. A lot of money is coming out of the ground. We're going to get reimbursed for all of that.
Yeah,
we're going to get reimbursed for everything that we spend. So it's going to be a very important. This is a very big evening that took place last night. We have to be surrounded by safe, secure countries. And we also have to have energy, very important. We have to have energy that's real energy, not where they're getting 4% and 5% of the energy out of the ground. You take a look, it was such a disaster. So what's going to happen with Venezuela, I think, over the next period of a year is going to be a great thing. And the people of Venezuela will be the biggest beneficiaries.
When you send in U.S. military.
Mr. President, thank you. What did you last speak to Maduro about when you spoke? And is the
Well,
US
I don't want to
at
get
war
into
with
the
Venezuela?
conversations, but I did have conversations with him. And I said, you got to surrender. And I actually thought he was pretty close to doing so, but now he wished he did. Yeah.
You said that Maduro is responsible for drug trafficking. You recently pardoned the former president of Honduras who was convicted of many drug trafficking. Can you explain how these two situations are
Well,
different? And would you ever pardon Maduro?
I endorsed, as you know, the winning president, the man who won in Honduras. I endorsed the man who won in Chile. I endorsed the man who won in Argentina. And we are doing very well with that whole group. What the man that I pardoned was, if you could equate it to us, he was treated like the Biden administration treated a man named Trump. That didn't work out too well for them. This was a man who was persecuted very unfairly. He was the head of the country. He was persecuted very unfairly. And there are a number of them. And we felt that it was a very unfair situation that happened to him. He's also a party member of the man who won. So obviously the people liked what I did. And one of the reasons that was done is because of the fact that the party in power felt very strongly that that man was treated very badly. I studied it very quickly, and then I studied it in great detail. I went to a lot of the people standing behind me, and they felt that that man was persecuted and treated very badly. That's why I gave him a pardon.
You referenced boots on the ground earlier. Can you just sort of button this up? Do you envision the U.S. military having a presence in Venezuela as the U.S. runs that?
Well,
country?
no, we're going to have a presence in Venezuela as it pertains to oil, because we have to have, we're sending our expertise in. So you may need something, not very much. But no, we're going to be taking out a tremendous amount of wealth out of the ground. And that wealth is going to the people of Venezuela and people from outside of Venezuela that used to be in Venezuela. And it goes also to the United States of America in the form of reimbursement for the damages caused us by that country. So I want to thank you all very much. Thank you. Do you have one? Yes, please. You were so nice before. I'm going to give you the final question. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr.
Unless it's a bad question, in
It's
which
about
case I'll
Putin.
go one word. It's about who?
It's about Putin. If you want
About Putin. Well, that's always nice
You had
to
a
talk
phone.
about Putin.
You had a phone call with him
Yeah.
on Monday. Did he talk at all about Maduro? Did y'all talk about this?
No, we didn't.
And
We
then-
never spoke about Maduro.
Are you mad at him right now? I mean, there's this
I'm not
intelligence.
thrilled with Putin. I'm not thrilled with Putin. He's killing too many people. I thought that would be so. I settled 8 1/4 war. You know what the 1 quarter was? Thailand and Cambodia. I did it again. They broke out, and I did it in about 5 hours, and I settled it. I'm giving myself 1 quarter, so I'm up to now 8 1/4. In other words, I settled the war, but then they broke out. They had a pretty bad breakout over the last 4 days. I got them to go back to peace, so I only give 1 quarter. I thought the easiest one would be one of the easier ones would be Russia, Ukraine. It's not, and they both have done some pretty bad things. And look, that's Biden's war. That's not my war. But I want to stop the lives. Did you see where last month 30,000? It was 27,000 the month before. 30,000, mostly soldiers, were killed this last month. 30,000. I want to
crazy.
stop that. You know, I got NATO to pay 5% instead of the 2% that they weren't paying. They weren't paying 2.
That's
Now
not
they
what he
pay
said.
5.
That's not
And
what
we
he
send them a lot
said.
of munitions. We send them a lot of things, missiles and various other things, a lot. And they pay. The United States is not losing money. We're probably making money on that. It's the last thing I care about. I just want to stop all those people. We're losing 25, 30,000 human beings. They come from 2 places that are very far away. But if I can stop, because it's something I've been pretty good at doing, deals, I guess. It's all a deal. Life is a big deal. But if I can stop that war and stop 30,000 young people, in addition to the fact that people are being killed in Kiev, people are being killed in other cities throughout, a much smaller number, but they're being killed, viciously killed. So I'm not happy about it. I thought that would be something that would get solved. We have Mr. Witkoff here. I think that we're making progress, but that's a war that should have never happened. If I were president, it would have never happened. Putin says it. Everybody says it. If I were president, that would have never happened. But I inherited that war. That was Joe Biden, Zelensky, and Putin. I came into the situation, and it's a mess. And I will say this. I watched an operation last night that was so precise, that was so brilliant. I mean, it was incredible. If we had our people, like this general and our people involved, that war would not have gone on very long. That I can tell you. That war, to use an old term, that war has become a bloodbath, and we want it to get stopped. Thank you very much, everybody.
That's power. That's power. Hey, Party Bonza. We'll have to get. I'm going to go back and read some of these comments here from earlier, so we can just address some of them, because why not? Why not? Let's wrap this up after this. We'll go through some of these. Trump is all over the files. Any cult member still supporting him supports child sex abuse. Okay, he's in the files. You should read about it, though. You know, when they say he's in the files, that's where you should continue to read, not where you should stop reading. He's in the files, taking plane rides to New York, New Jersey, that kind of stuff. If you are pro-Trump, you are helping protect child rapists. Congratulations, you have absolutely no standards whatsoever. Don't know how you deal with the naysayers, Mags. Wow. You know what? I kind of enjoy it. I went back and watched one of my streams that I did, my live streams that I did. I think it was July 9th. And the first live on the 2022. And that was the first live stream I ever did. I think it was on the 6th when we first went into DC and occupied the lawn. And I said back then, I was saying the same thing I'm saying now. I don't mind trolls. I don't mind it. Come in and have a conversation. Let's talk a little bit, or if you need to vent. Just be respectful to the chat, but vent it out, I think it's kind of funny, and if you ask me, it's educating. It's educational. Oh crap! Conservatives are now explaining why being on Epstein Island was a. That's not how you. If you don't know how to spell Epstein, should you be commenting on the Epstein files? I don't know. I would say no. Epstein Island was a good thing. No wonder y'all want to go to daycares. Some of the stupidity on the left is just ridiculous, like this. MAGA equals Nazi. MAGA equals Nazi. This is just what they want you to do. They want you to just write a whole group of people off as Nazis. They're all Nazis, blah, 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 blah. Then there's people out there that really believe that Trump performed fellatio on Bill Clinton. People actually believe that. This is how far down the downward spiral has gone. Let's get to this now. What's this one? After this year, all the Republicans will be gone. What's that mean? What's that mean? What do you mean when you say that? That sounds ominous. What's that mean? I don't know. Be careful. At FBI. So what happened to No More Wars and the Epstein files will be released. F him and F you too if you support. He's a goddamn warmonger, demented pedophile. Send Barron to fight this war. It's not a war. It was a military action. Hang on. It's not a war. It's a military action. Okay, we good now? I think we might be good now. This one's funny. Trump is trans. Oh, I wonder if that person believes it, if they're just trying to be a troll, you know? To all comments about Biden. Biden is no longer president. Neither is Obama. So we're just supposed to forget about all the tyrannical things they did. Don't mention it anymore. You're not allowed to mention it anymore. Kind of ridiculous if you ask me. And then this guy here earlier was in there. He said, I like how I proved to you that Trump's down to only 29% approval rating. You came back and argued my exact point that Trump is only 29% approval rating. So this guy came in and he was like, Trump's approval rating. He said Trump's approval rating is only 29%. And then when he got called out on it, it was like 44%. Then he said, oh, well, I just meant strongly approve. I just meant strongly approve. That's not what you said when you first came in and said anything. So is that really what you meant? I don't know. This one's just full of nastiness, but I just thought it was funny how he spelled stupid wrong. Take a second and look at that. You dumb C word. You are effing retarded. Everyone already called you out on that S. You just too stupid. STOOPID to realize. Then there's this one. More BS from the pedo protectors. Assassinate Trump now, he says. At FBI. Hello. At FBI. Anyone listening? Hey, at FBI. FBI. I don't know if they heard that or not. Maybe. We'll see. Got to get that oil. I mean, drugs. I don't think it's got. I think it's got more to do with other things, to be honest with you. And of course, this one, because I mean, you got to check that out. You got to check the store out. We design our own stuff there. Even some of my kids get involved in some of the designs. My younger children there get involved in some of the designs. All right, let's get back to the live chat here and see what's going on with some people, and then we'll get rolling here. And start our day. I got to go deal with my son got some ants in the mail today for his ant farm, and the queen came in dead. So we got to deal with that. Can't have that. Learn to use a credit card is a basic life skill. That's what low IQ Dems do. Can't argue, so they use foul language. Amen. Amen. That's the truth. It's a shame. I'd much rather be able to have a conversation with people than just argue and yell at each other. You never get anywhere with that. That's what the people in power want us to do, is just to fight back and forth. They want us to argue and fight back before. They want you to call me names and me to call you names. I don't want to call you names. I don't want to call you anything, some personal name. I'd rather we just had a debate or a conversation about the issues and try to figure out a way in the middle somewhere. Alert, alert. I love I love stupid people. They create more laughs than a blue collar tour. You know, it's got to go the same logic as it was when I had my business and I would get resumes in. Some of these resumes, man. No offense to those guys that made these resumes, but my goodness, man. There was so many times I'd be like, why did you put that on your resume? He spelled two wrong. Should be two. Yeah. And the spelling's probably not the best judge or gauge of intelligence for them. They're going to hurt themselves every time with different misspelled words and stuff. China is watching. They will shortly move on Taiwan. That a Trump caused World War III. Yeah, I don't think so. That they were saying World War III after he hit Iran too. Remember? It's gonna be World War III. It's gonna be World War III. Trump's on the most hated presidents ever. You idiot. You idiot. Cool story, bruh. What did you prefer more, Trump's pedophilia or him wiping his ass with our Constitution on a daily basis? Be good if there was any evidence. That's the thing that the left seems to miss every time, is the evidence. See, evidence means something. Evidence is kind of important when you want to like convict someone of something, or, you know. Yeah, forget about that. Yeah, he loves it. We got them this cool ant farm for Christmas, and he had one before, but this time he wanted a queen so he could actually grow it and stuff. And so we did that, but the queen came in dead, but the other ants are okay. So we'll have to get that straightened out as soon as I get off here. He's a bit upset about it, but we'll figure it out. You might need defensive ants for that queen problem. I'm pretty sure no one needs defensive ants. You know, I'm pretty sure no one really needs that character, that silly character, that constantly looking for attention type character. I think we have the best man for the job right now. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. That's really nice. That's really nice. I don't believe anybody else could have done what he's doing. As a matter of fact, I don't think anybody could win like he's winning for us now. I agree. I agree. I agree. He's the man. He's here for a reason. He's in charge for a reason. Biden's people stole that election for a reason. It's, you know, everything plays out for a reason. What pedophilia? Have yet to see any info on Trump, though. Quite the opposite on your side of the aisle, Biden and Clinton. Thank you for the show, MagAmericans. Huge hugs. Hold the line. Amen. Amen. Like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget. Check out the store. This shit. Oh, almost swore. I don't ask for donations. You can. I don't ask for donations. There's a link in the chat, in the description, but I do ask that you check out the store, shop.magamericans.com, and just see if there's anything in there that you like. I spilled my ant farm. My mom freaked out and stomped them. Oh man. We had last time we had red harvester ants, and they're like poisonous or something. So it was tricky. But now he got different kind. He knows so much about ants. It's ridiculous. He's 12. Let's see what else we got here. They forgot the times Obama brought us close to World War III with Russia. Yeah. Is that true? My neighbor keeps pooping in Walmart bags and throwing them over my fence. I mean, I can call cops for that. It's like bio warfare or whatever. And I realize you're not going to post anything that I say because I'm pro-Trump, and you guys are so down in the mouth about it. It was real. Great Obama parked 300 Abrams tanks 50 miles from the Russian border right before he left office. Oh. China is a joke. They will do nothing. Yeah, I tend to agree with that. What we don't realize is these countries aren't strong and powerful. They're depleted. Their economies aren't great. They're just having all kind of issues. I don't think they have the power to really have anything to do with this. I saw some reports that there was Russian fighter jets over Venezuela, but I think that came from about 7 months ago. I think that was there were Russian fighter jets there doing some training and that kind of stuff. So, wires get crossed and reports get pushed to now. And I'm sure that guy who posted that got a lot of viral views, even though he probably knew it was wrong when he did it. But that's not the point to be right with a lot of these people. It's to be first, or whatever you want to call it. So you get those clicks. Got to get those clicks. If U.S. loses Taiwan, they lose the high-end chips and get cut off from the essential elements required for both. That's not true. We'll be making them here. We got plenty of deals for those minerals. I mean, I don't want them to take out Taiwan, but I think we promised to help. DOA is a queen, but a barren one. Barren. Chicken Boy is still running. Yeah, run. And think about all the stuff that one streamer has. He's been done so many bad things, filming children, going to the bathroom, and some other stuff. And he always seems to evade, but he's always got legal problems. Is it worth it? No, it's not worth it. I was just talking about the ant farm my son got, and then that got people thinking of the big fat ant. Yeah, please remember to hit that like button, like, share, subscribe, yada yada yada. Yeah, they sure are. I enjoyed it. He's very happy about it. He's up there watching the other ones, but he's upset about the queen came in dead. So we'll have to see if we can. What we got to do? We'll have to order another one, I guess. They're supposed to be, if they come in dead, they'll send another one. Something Putin exposed the tunnels. If China steps in to save the world from this aggression, America might be cooked. I don't say I'm an expert. I'm not an expert on any of this stuff. I've just been watching politics since probably 1990 and 1988. Actually, it was earlier than that. Probably 80. I'll say 88. I've been watching politics pretty closely since 1988. China's not going to do anything. They can't do anything. They have too many problems of their own. There's no strategic threat to the USA if Russia invaded through Alaska. Sure, they could take the oil, but it would take an army months to get down through Canada. And it's not like we'd just be waiting there for them. Well, how far do they get? Yes. Holy crap. Queen bee, $400. My goodness. My goodness. Yeah, for many years, right? You know, I heard a long time ago, I heard a talk show radio host say that if Americans had to pay their taxes, like, you know, the government came out and said, oh, we'll take care of that for you. We'll take care of that for you. We'll make it so you can just pay. What is happening to my screen here? We'll just make it so you can just pay, and we'll take it right out of your paycheck. We'll take your taxes right out of your paycheck. That was the worst idea. Can you imagine how people would be if they didn't have to? What is happening? Why is my stuff getting all messed up? If you had to pay your taxes in cash every year, people would wake up a bit more to the tax burden. But people don't pay attention because they get it taken out of their checks. There's no problem there. I don't know what's going on. I'm having some technical difficulties, it looks like, over here. Yeah. All right. Well, considering the some of these get a real job, bro. When you're at the end of your life and you're sitting with the tube down your throat, you're going to wish you didn't spend all this time doing this stupid ass. Well, thanks for your concern. I appreciate that. I appreciate the concern. Standing up for your country and making sure that it's important to me that I give my kids a country, my 5 children, a country that's better than the one that I received. So I'm going to do what I can to get that to happen. We'll have to see what it takes. I'm all for trying. I'm all for it. I'm going to wrap this up. I'm going to say, God bless you guys. Thanks for being here today. It's been a good day so far. I'm going to go handle this ant situation and take care of some family stuff. And maybe we'll see you back tomorrow morning. I've been doing some morning shows lately, so we'll have to see. But God bless. Remember to check out MagAmericans.com and the store. That would be helpful if you find something that you want. Let me get that on there. There we go. If you find something that you'd like to have, that'd be great. Just check it out. There's some designs on there you might like. And MagAmericans.com, at MagAmericans on all social media. God bless. Have a great Saturday. If anything breaks, maybe we'll pop back on here.